On this episode of the podcast, I'm joined by Jiu-Jitsu black belt Alan Spindel, and I was interested to speak with Alan because he is someone that received his black belt at the age of 62, and I was just really curious from a physical therapy standpoint, from a motivational standpoint, just a health perspective, kind of how Alan has been training, in his 60s, how he got to achieve his black belt, and how he continues to stay on the mats and, continue to train 4 to 5 days a week, what his regimen is, and kind of what he does to take care of his body. So, being a jiu-jitsu practitioner in my 30s, I can definitely tell my body has broken down a little bit throughout the years. So I want to know kind of, what Alan did to continue to train and stay healthy in jiu-jitsu. So thank you to Alan for joining me on the podcast, and here we go.
You are now listening to the Jiu-Jitsu Therapist Podcast.
Initially was you started at 19 and doing kind of traditional martial arts?
Yes.
Is there, what kind of attracted you to martial arts kind of begin with, like in the first place?
I got a scholarship to Oklahoma City University for physical education.
Oh.
And I've always been involved in sports. So one of the fraternity brothers was doing karate. And I said, "What's that?" I had no idea what it was.
Yeah. Okay. What year was that in?
That was 1972.
Oh, so I'm thinking, maybe Bruce Lee, maybe Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris was more in the 80s, but I figured Bruce Lee was that maybe a big thing. We can kind of touch back on that. I'm just curious.
Yes, totally Bruce Lee.
A big motivator. I mean, as far as getting into karate or getting like traditional martial arts.
Well, actually, no. I had no idea what karate was until my fraternity brother took me to the school, and I fell in love with it. The discipline, the sweating, the bowing, the movement. I just fell in love instantly.
So what kind of, how long did you do that type of martial art? Maybe even that specifically, or what made you jump around even?
I did that martial art for 3 years, Okinawan karate, because my friend introduced me to it. And it was a sensei, a Japanese man who spoke very little English, and he just had a way with people. Just up and down the floor, block, kick, punch, block, kick, punch. And then, okay, fighting! And then you fight. And I just loved it. And I actually went to a tournament, and I was kicked in the side, and I had my spleen ruptured.
Oh, my God.
So I had a splenectomy.
All right. Then, okay. So did you quit doing that type of karate? What kind of happened after that?
I took 6 months off. I recuperated, and I went back to the same school, but instead of being in the traditional right side stance with your left foot forward, I had to switch to protect myself and became a southpaw.
Was that like advantageous at all? I mean, as far as you think about, boxing being a southpaw, I think they seem that's an advantage of sorts. Well, did you think that helped you out at all?
It did, because one of the kicks, my turning back kick, was almost invisible to a traditional martial arts in the right stance. I came almost under his arm in front of his kidney. I turned back kick, and I'd always score points with my left leg. So dumbly it became a trademark for me.
Nice. So after training the Okinawan karate, what kind of went on after that?
I left school. I never graduated college because when I was 6 months out in the hospital, I missed class and everybody graduated. So I was embarrassed. I left. I went to San Francisco to actually pursue a lifestyle of martial arts.
Really? So what was in that 6 months, what kind of went through your head? What was your thought? I'm just curious, for people that maybe, are between doing a martial arts or doing like traditional college. What was the turning point for you?
I was too stupid to give up. I just didn't want to give up and quit. But I did walk hunched over for Eugene for a while.
Okay.
For 3 months, I was hunched over, protecting that side, and everybody thought that I was going to be a cripple, hunching over, and that kind of scared me.
So what I wanted to get back to is as far as that 6 months that you were off and not going to school, and you decided, even after your injury, you still decided to pursue martial arts in some capacity. What was that thought process for you, and what did you want to achieve?
I wanted to become a black belt, and I wanted to open up my own school and be a martial arts professional.
So like, what are your goals? I was like, just as far as that's going to be your lifestyle. Did you want to train? Did you want to achieve any other, accolades besides black belt, compete? I mean, what was the goal? Was it just your love kind of for martial arts, or was it something else?
It was my love for martial arts, and I'm a natural-born teacher and coach. I'm not a businessman. I got a master's in phys ed, so I love to teach and coach. I wanted to empower other people, and that was my goal, to become the greatest teacher and coach ever. Not so much a competitor, because I was an average to fair competitor, but I had an extraordinary skill coaching and helping other people develop their martial arts.
So when you made that move, what was your what did you do initially? Kind of once you got to, I think it was California, you said?
San Francisco, yes. I found an apartment. I got a job in a factory from 7 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon, and that gave me the time from 4 to 9 p.m. to train. And I spent 4 hours a day training and learning a martial art with an understanding from the master that I would open up a school for him and have my own school. I was like a student in training.
How long did you do that for, and then when did things change for you?
I did that in 1974 or 75. I left Oklahoma, went to California, spent 3 or 4 years there, training 6 days a week, 4 hours a day, under the tutelage of a master, and I received black belt in Korean Hapkido. It was actually called Kuksul Won.
Okay.
And I opened up a school. I was given a school in a nearby community. It was a bus ride away. He financed everything, put me on a small salary, and I taught every day from 4 to 9 o'clock at night.
How long did you do that for until things changed for you?
About 3 years.
Why did that relationship end, or why did you stop teaching at that school?
I think I matured and grew up, and I grew out of that lifestyle.
So what was your plan exactly, after that?
After that, I went back to New York,
and
had to finish my college degree. Again, I never finished my undergraduate degree. I went back to New York, and I wanted to finish my degree. So I pursued completing my bachelor's degree and continued to work.
Is there a reason you chose New York? I mean, did you have family there, or is it just kind of, coming from Oklahoma and you go all the way on the West Coast and all the way on the East Coast? What was, no in between? So I was just curious as far as what were those locations, significance of those?
My family's from New York.
Gotcha.
My family's from New York. I got a scholarship to Oklahoma, went to California, and then came back to New York.
Okay, so you moved back and you're back at school, and then kind of what's going on after that? What happens?
I was back at school, taking classes, working full time, and then I joined a Taekwondo school. I started all over again as a white belt.
Okay.
I joined a Taekwondo school and went 3 days a week at night, and just did that for maybe 4 years.
So doing the Hapkido and then you said Taekwondo, correct?
Taekwondo, yes.
So going from one martial art to the other, I mean, was there that much difference between those type of martial arts per se?
Not really. The forms, the katas, the routine, that was the basic difference.
Okay.
And I had to respect the school code that I didn't go in as a black belt. I went in as a white belt.
And so obviously being, training the other martial arts before, did you catch on pretty quickly, muscle memory, and those type of things, those were pretty good.
Yeah, muscle memory, respect. I was end up sparring with the black belts and being very competitive with them. And there was one instance where one of their top black belts in Taekwondo, when I did a particular sparring session, in Hapkido you have throws and takedowns.
Oh, okay, okay.
It was like Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. He throws, and the man did a stepping side kick. I sidestepped him, put my foot out, and then put my hand under his neck and took him down.
Yeah.
He went berserk. He said, "What are you doing? This isn't Hollywood. We don't do that here." I said, I'm sorry. That's my training." And I got reprimanded for doing that to him.
So it's kind of reaction, basically. You just didn't, you just kind of went on instinct.
Thank you. Total instinct. At that point, the muscle memory, the body just reacts.
So how old are you around this time that you're training Taekwondo?
27. I also, again, re-injured my knees. I couldn't take the up and down, jumping, kicking, stepping, sliding. And I found a friend of mine who studied Hapkido, and we trained in Chinatown, in New York, in Chinatown. In his hallway.
Oh, wow.
He had mats, and in his hallway, in his building, we would just train there for a few years.
So, as far as what were the injuries initially to your knees, and then how was Hapkido easier for you to do than I guess the other martial art you were doing?
The injury to the knees, where I had 2 medial meniscus repairs,
okay.
which developed I got rheumatoid arthritis in them.
Oh, wow, okay.
And Taekwondo was primarily, if I had to quantify it, Eugene, I'd say it's 80% kicking, 20% hand movements.
Yeah.
Hapkido was probably 50% kicking and 50% hand movements, joint locking, and throws.
Gotcha. So not as much stress, I guess, on the knees. You know, you don't have to, I assume, not as much jumping, or I'm sure Taekwondo's got some jumping techniques and stuff. Yeah. So you did have a little bit of that taste of that ground game, and so you kind of had a little bit of an idea what that was. So after you guys were training, or however long did you all do that, and then what happened?
We did that for maybe 5 years in his hallway, and then I took some time off. I took maybe 3 years off to repair my body.
What did you do as far as did you have, first of all, about the knees, did you have surgery to repair the knees? And then you did see it a repair. I think you said.
Yes, yeah. I did have surgery.
So surgery on the knees, and then you took some time off. What was going on to make you want to take time off, and what kind of things did you do to fix your body?
I went to the gym and did cardio, the elliptical, low impact. I did cycling. I did some bands. Some light weights, high reps, low weights, the typical mid-30, 35-year-old, 40-year-old workout.
How did your body kind of respond to that? The exercise you feel, you actually were stronger substantially, and how long did it take for you to start feeling some results?
I got pretty strong pretty fast. I would say 3 to 4 months, my body changed. I got rid of all the soreness, and I got pretty strong, pretty fit, pretty conditioned.
So, and you took time off from just any kind of martial arts just to focus on that, just because you were dealing with injuries repetitively?
Yes, primarily. No martial arts in that 3-year period, and I didn't like myself. I didn't like it. I felt weak. I felt insecure. I felt that I was attacked. I couldn't defend myself. That all those years of training may have gone to waste. What a shame.
I mean, do you feel? I mean, it doesn't seem very logical because obviously, a lot of muscle memory, instinct training for as long as you did. Did you feel like you just couldn't do the martial art anymore? Was your plan to return eventually to, to train again? Is that your goal? And so, what were you thinking?
My goal was always to return to training. I had to find the right time, the right mojo, and the right martial art.
So once you got your body kind of fixed or feeling, better, what was your next thought process? What did you want to do?
I reinvented myself. I finished my degree. I got certified to become a New York City high school physical education teacher.
Okay.
I quit my day job. I told my wife, you can divorce me, but I'm going to live my dream and become a coach. And the day I got my certification from the New York City Board of Education, I got a job in New York City at the worst school possible, and I became a high school phys ed teacher.
It sounds maybe not what you expected. And I have a little bit of experience. I actually got my bachelor's in physical education before I got my doctorate in physical therapy. So I did a little bit of student teaching, not as much, but man, I can't imagine, Louisville, Kentucky versus, a really bad school in New York. I mean, I'm sure it's quantified, a bunch of times.
Well, let's put it this way. We had armed policemen with guns on every floor. Uniformed armed policemen. We had metal detectors, and it was a scene.
Honestly.
We had gangs in the school.
What kind of phys ed could you teach? Well, I mean, is that even going to be considered a class or effective, or do the kids actually, enjoy, having a little time to run around?
The culture of the school was the phys ed teachers would throw a basketball out and sit behind their desk and pray nothing bad would happen. So they wouldn't do anything. It was bad. I walked into the school and I said to I was 45 at the time, said to the principal, Dr. DiCarlo, I will never file a grievance against you. I'll never cause a problem. Just leave me alone. Let me do my thing. I'm gonna rock this school. And she goes, oh, Mr. Spindel, what do you plan on doing? I said, I'm going to teach martial arts.
Okay.
She goes, oh my God, that's great. So I started in my gym class. In my gym class with 60 inner city kids who all they want to do is play basketball. I wouldn't throw a basketball out. I'd line them up.
How did you get them to buy in? I mean, honestly, if that's all you want to do, and it's the worst school, and you have 60 kids, that's insane. It's a lot, but you have that many people, and they all don't want to listen to you, and also they don't want to do what you want to do. So how do you get them to buy in?
Well, I challenged them. I said, okay, guys, you want to play basketball, you've got to beat me at push-ups. I'll do 50 push-ups, straight up. If any of you can do 50 push-ups, I'll give you the key to the basketball locker and you'll play basketball. If not, you'll do what I tell you to do. And they said, oh, F you, mister, you blah, 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 every bad word possible. I said, stop talking, get on the ground, give me the toughest kids, and line up with me head to head. We're going to do 50 push-ups straight.
Did you ever lose?
Never.
So you did that with them, and then how did you get them to actually do the techniques?
I learned and developed skills to engage them and empower them. I said to them, you guys want to have a six-pack when you go to the beach? Because, you guys want to be able to lift your shirt up and get the girls? Yeah, man, I got a six-pack. I said, no, you don't. You've got a one-pack. I lifted my shirt up and I said, I got a four-pack, but I can get you a six-pack. Really? Really? I said, yeah, do what I tell you to do. And I said that because if not, you're going to be here in the summertime in class. I'll be on the beach. I'll be with your girls, and I'll be calling you, yo, Jose, I got your bitches here, man. You didn't listen to me. And they just loved it. It was real. They loved it.
All right, so how long did you teach for, until Jiu-Jitsu? Like, what was the step from here to Jiu-Jitsu? How did you make that connection?
That's a good question. That is the story of my life. I was doing the Hapkido in class, the joint locks, the wrist locks, the kicking. And then one day, a student came to me, and I love this kid. I'm going to say his name, Stephen Williams. He was a blue belt at Renzo Gracie. And he was a senior. He goes, Mr. Spindel, would you condition me for my jiu-jitsu tournament? And I said, Stephen, what's jiu-jitsu? I didn't know what it was.
Wow.
Nobody knew. I mean, I didn't know.
What year was this, by the way?
I started teaching in 1998,
right.
And I evolved from karate to jiu-jitsu because of Stephen in 2004.
Okay.
In 2004.
Okay, so you started in 2004. Like, what was your? So he said, "Train me for jiu-jitsu."
Yes.
What did you think? Did you get intrigued right away? What kind of questions did you ask?
I didn't have to ask a question. He gave me a flyer and said, "Here's a seminar for coaches on how to condition for jiu-jitsu practitioners. It'll cost you $60, and you're going to go to this seminar." So he set me up. The kid set me up. So I paid $60. I went to, you ever hear of J.C. Santana in the Institute of Human Performance in Boca Raton?
I don't think so.
Ratty Ferguson, Olympian participant. They had a partnership with Parisi Speed School in New Jersey. So I spent $60 of my own money. I went to the seminar for jiu-jitsu coaches. And oh my God, the light bulb went off. Hollis Gracie was there, Henzo was there, all the Gracie guys were there learning conditioning techniques for jiu-jitsu. And my mouth was open, my ears were open, I didn't say a word, I watched the whole thing. At the end of the 3-hour seminar, everybody left, and I went up to Juan Carlos Santana and Ratty Ferguson. I said, I was sent here by a student of mine to learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. What equipment can I buy? They go, "How much money do you have?" I said, "Don't worry about it. I'll give you a credit card." He goes, "Okay." And he gave me bands, those exercise bands, the bungee cords. I bought books. I bought DVDs. I spent $230 of my own money, bought everything I could. I went home that night, and I studied and studied and studied. And the next day I came in, and Steven said, "Mr. Spindel, what'd you learn?" And I took a bag of equipment out, and I threw it on the floor. I said, "Here's what I learned." He goes, "I love this stuff. What do I do?" I said, "You do what you think you're going to do, and we'll design a curriculum based on what you like."
Huh.
He got the other 30 kids in class, because he beat the other kids up. "Hey, let's do this stuff." And within the next 2 weeks, Eugene, the students designed their own curriculum, and I guided them and just kept them in check based on what I learned, what the book said, what the DVD said, and what they wanted to do. And I wrote down notes. I typed it up. I made a technique book for Stephen Williams.
So a technique for training, like actual like
conditioning, strictly conditioning.
Is that book available?
I've got it.
Was it available to buy? I'm just curious.
No. I don't make money. I'm the dumbest guy in the world. I could probably get you files. Oh, it's on my website. I put it on my website for everybody to look at.
Okay.
I might have it up there. And we designed a curriculum. So he said to me, "I'm going to compete. I've got 4 months to compete. That's 16 weeks." I said, "Okay." He goes, "We got to get some kids I can practice on and work out with." So we picked the toughest kids in the school, the worst kids, and we made a deal with them. We said, "I'm going to make you a champ. We're going to make you champions if you help Steven condition for his jiu-jitsu thing." They go, "Is it fighting, man?" I go, "It's fighting. I'm in."
Yeah.
They wanted to fight. I got the kids in. So during my gym class, I ignored I hope the principal's not listening. I ignored everybody else. I said, "All right, guys, go lift weights. Fuck you guys. You 6 guys, come over here. You're working with me and Steven." And we did warrior workouts with the bands and the bungee cords. The next thing I know, half the class is over there with me doing it. They loved it. So Steven got a workout during his regular gym class. When he had lunch, he would skip lunch, come to my gym class, and rally other kids to do a workout. Now he's doing 2 conditioning classes a day. Then he goes, "Mr. Spindel, can you stay after class, after school?" I said, "Sure." I said, "I'm not getting paid for it, but I'll do it anyway." I stayed after school, got another 10 kids to come. He had 3 conditioning sessions during the school day, 5 days a week for 4 months.
So you just trained him. What about yourself actually doing jiu-jitsu? How did that come about?
We did this for 1 year. We did conditioning for 1 year. Steven and the other band of gangsters competed in 3 tournaments during that school year doing jiu-jitsu. He taught them jiu-jitsu, and I would just do the conditioning.
Gotcha.
I never did any jiu-jitsu. And they all got 1st and 2nd place, never a 3rd. 3rd doesn't exist. Steven got Three first places. Everyone else got first and second.
Wow.
In 3 tournaments, October, January, and April. The following school year, they said, Mr. Spindel, you're doing jiu-jitsu now. We're going to give you a gift. You took us to championships. We're going to teach you jiu-jitsu. So the following year, I did jiu-jitsu during my gym class and after school with Steven.
Okay. Now, did you, while you were learning jiu-jitsu, did you start paying attention to any mixed martial arts or UFC, or, obviously you actually met, some of the Gracies. So did any of that interest you at all?
Very much. The Gracies, 2 of the Gracies would come up and do the conditioning after school with me because they saw their blue belt student, Steven, win 3 national tournaments, the Grappler's Quest, the Naga, and the Hendo Gracie Invitational. They said, what the hell is this guy Spindel doing? He goes, yeah, come to his school, conditioning after school. That following year, 3 or 4 Gracie guys came up there, and they were part of my after-school program, all voluntarily.
Huh. So did they not have, as far as learning or training regimens, did something, what about your regimen stood out against, people that actually train at a gym?
It wasn't the jiu-jitsu that they came to me for. They came to me for the conditioning. They didn't have conditioning in their academies, and if they did, it wasn't the same as what we did. So, for instance, we'd go to the basement in our school. We had an 8-pound medicine ball, and they'd run up 8 flights of stairs, and they had to do it in 1 minute and 10 seconds or less. Mm-hmm. As soon as they came up the stairs, they dropped the medicine ball, they went on the 5 treadmills and sprinted for 20 seconds, speed 11, elevation 11. So you're already flipping out, right? You're flipping
I'm like,
out.
I'm thinking, okay, I'm trying to break this all down, but also I'm curious to ask you kind of how you feel like it related to jiu-jitsu, because, as far as, did you focus more on like sprint work or, endurance or a combination? I was just curious kind of how you came up with your routine.
The Juan Carlos Santana and Ratty Ferguson designed a program to hit lactic acid. They said, forget aerobic, forget anaerobic. You got to hit the lactic acid phase. Increase. Now you know better than I. You're a doctor of physical therapy, but increase the threshold of lactic acid, and your competitors will never gas out.
Yeah. So basically, he's saying, but how did they get to that threshold though? What was the key? Was the key, what type of exercise they feel like was most beneficial for that?
Doing the running up 8 flights of stairs for 1 minute, 10 seconds with an 8-pound medicine ball, throwing it down, getting a 10-second rest. The other kids who weren't participating were my helpers. They stood by the machines, the treadmill machines, and had them cranked up to speed 11, elevation 11, and they had a stopwatch. And they go from running up the stairs, barely catching their breath, to an active rest of 10 seconds, jumping on the treadmill, blowing their heart out, hitting lactic acid, falling down, going over and doing Olympic lifts with the barbell, with the weights, just doing the what do you call it? Bus drivers, lifting, and
okay.
everything.
It's almost like rotating the weight, is what you're saying.
Yes. And we designed it's 30 seconds, so 30-second blowout, 10-second rest. But your rest was going from one station to the next.
Right.
Taking the exercise bands, doing rows, pulling 30 rows, rhomboids, trapezoid rows, putting it down, turning around, 30 punches, then doing bear crawls. And it was 30-second on, 10-second rest for 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
That's one round.
Yeah. How many rounds did you do?
We did 3 rounds because Steven said to me in his division, he'll probably have 3 rounds, maybe 4.
Yes.
So we started with 1. They vomited. They puked. The next week, we did 2 rounds. We had 4 months to go. We systematically increased. I think we hit 5 rounds max.
Wow. So you're training people. You're getting more, tell me about your experience in the jiu-jitsu. What was your how did you feel starting jiu-jitsu in that time?
Well, I loved it because the deal was the Gracie guys would come in, I'd condition them, and then they'd give me a private lesson for 20 minutes. So they teach me, there was no gi, on the mats, a 20-minute lesson. And I loved it. I fell in love with jiu-jitsu because it was a science. It was an art. It was leverage. Now, I was 54 at the time.
Oh, wow.
And talk about, not using my brain, 54 starting, and these guys are 25, 30, maybe, 32 years old, and I was training with them. And after about 3 or 4 months, once Stephen competed and did his work, he said, Alan, you really need to go to an academy. You've outgrown what we could do here after school.
Yeah.
Go join an academy. I said, okay. And I went to join an academy, and I've been there for the past 12 years.
Did you not go to the same one that he was at?
I wanted to, and I felt heartbroken, but I had to be at school at 8:30 in the morning. So I had to find an academy near my school where I worked.
Yeah.
That's a 6:30 to 7:30 class.
Uh-huh.
Henzo Gracie was 7:30 to 8:30. I wouldn't have made it back.
Yeah. So you started this other school, and you started as a white belt there. Obviously, didn't gain any rank, kind of training.
Yes.
So when you started out, did you already feel you had a pretty good base of jiu-jitsu, just basic positions, basic techniques?
Well, it was gi. So again, I did the no gi with the kids, and as soon as someone grabbed my collar and grabbed my pant leg with the gi, I go, "What are you doing? Get off my collar!"
Yeah.
I was a fish out of water. Again, I'm 54 years old. Everybody in the academy was really young. I got beat up for 2 years. I laugh at this. I never got top position. I never got anybody in a side control. I never got anybody in a mount for 2 years.
Do you feel like the students, did they go harder on you because you're older, or was it because you were new?
I was fresh. I was fresh meat. I was that old guy, fresh meat. Let's beat the old guy up today.
Yeah. So mentally, what made you want to stick with it at that time if you kind of weren't having a lot of success?
The coach told me, Alan, don't quit. Someday, you'll be the hammer. Right now, you're the nail. I said, I'm not quitting. Don't worry about it. I'm a tough guy. I can teach it. I taught high school phys ed. I'm teaching it with these kids. So I'm not quitting. And I wouldn't quit. I wouldn't let them beat me. They beat me. They choked. They tapped me out maybe 50 times during each class. I wouldn't quit, man.
What about you? Did you feel like it was the love for jiu-jitsu? Was it the benefits of jiu-jitsu? Was it just stubbornness? What kind of made you want to keep going?
I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the art. To me, it was an art. I loved the fact that it was actually a camaraderie type thing.
Yeah,
I'm not homo or anything. Excuse me, I'm sorry, that's a bad word, but you're hugging people. There's a connection. There's a physical and spiritual connection. And I'm using your body, your arms, your limbs. I have nothing against you personally, but my job is to move your arm behind you and tap. And I need your arm, so thank you for your arm. Yeah. That's the philosophy I had, rather than I'm going to go beat up Eugene today. No, I never thought that way. Yeah. It was a spiritual connection.
I think that's actually the thing that I had in my head was more of like just the feeling you get after a really, really hard training session. I felt like there's camaraderie in that, I think, using somebody's body and trusting each other, certain positions and having each other in precarious positions, very, you have somebody's life in your hands essentially, but also the feeling after just a hard roll, hard class where everybody's pushing, that there's a lot of camaraderie there because I think everybody goes through that struggle with you. And I think it's different. It's not something you go through, or most people go through every day.
Yeah, that's well said. You articulated it exactly what I'm thinking in my mind. It's a camaraderie. Yeah.
So you just kind of that was just a big, advantage of training hard. What made you want to? Did you have a goal in mind when you kept going to jiu-jitsu continuously?
I wanted to compete. My goal was to compete. So my first 2 years, I think I was a white belt for a year and a half. I did 3 competitions.
Okay.
And I went to the 30-year-olds and the 40-year-olds as a 54-year-old. And I never got a first. I got seconds and thirds.
Okay. So competing in jiu-jitsu, I mean, were you nervous at all? Just kind of competing at a later age. Do you feel like you've already had so much experience with competition and things like that wasn't too much of a transition for you?
Oh no, I was so nervous. I had diarrhea, and I actually probably peed my pants a little bit before the match.
Was that part of your strategy?
to gross my opponent out? No, I got so nervous. I'm not a great competitor, but I wanted to do it to overcome the fear.
Right.
I pushed myself and challenged myself.
Yeah, it's competing is not, and sometimes we wonder why we do it, because it's not always fun. Or at least, the memories you make are fun, but sometimes when you're in the moment, you're like, I remember my first tournament as a white belt, I was looking at the other guy, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? Like, why am I even here, Like, why am I putting myself through this? Like, what's the point? And the thing for me that I tell everybody, I remember, like, we clinched up, and he took me down. It was like slow motion. I could hear him breathing in my ear. Like, I felt like it was in him. I was like, what the hell is going on? And then after my first match, I could hardly lift my arms just because I was, gripping. I got beat like 20-something to 0, the first match. We ended up going again a couple times, and so that was a different story. But I could hardly get my mouthpiece out of my mouth. I get it out, and I don't even look at it. I hand it to my dad. He was there, and I said, can you rinse this out? I had a protein bar that I puked up into my mouthpiece. So I was like, I was so nervous, man. I can't tell you, like you said, go in the bathroom. I don't know how many times you run back and forth, and then you get amped up and you're ready to go and you feel good, and then all of a sudden you're waiting, and that adrenaline dump happens, and crazy thoughts in your head, and it was. I don't know why we do it, but I think it's, and not many people compete. Not many people even want to put themselves in that situation. But competition-wise, you got a few competitions in. Tell me about your progression. Was there certain positions that you felt like you needed to work on, and things you kind of fell in love with? Did your game start to kind of take shape?
Yes, I actually went in there with only three moves. I had a double leg takedown, even for an older guy.
Uh-huh.
I had a nice side control, and I had a cross-side stepping over arm bar.
Okay.
And I think my first 3 tournaments as a white belt, that's all I did. Take them down, get 2 points. Side control and step over for an arm bar. I got a couple submissions, a couple of escapes, and I just focused on like a savant. Those 3 things. Right. That was my goal, my game plan.
And so is that how you trained? Did you just focus on that? And when did you eventually start to kind of expand and try different things?
After I got promoted to blue belt, the coach said, okay, you got those 3 things, you got those 3 moves. Let's learn the open guard. Let's learn butterfly guard. Let's learn some other things. And I didn't abandon it, but I learned, my game started to develop. I learned the bottom, position, open guard, and I started learning everything that he was teaching.
So, for your age, or initially even when you started, how often did you train? A lot of times people, and you hear it all the time, people get obsessed with jiu-jitsu. They want to train like every day, twice a day, How did you kind of figure out the right amount of training or right frequency of training?
I did not adhere to the proper frequency. I was training 3 times a day. I would do jiu-jitsu in the morning, 6:30 to 7:30. I would do conditioning during one of my gym classes. And then I would do conditioning / jiu-jitsu after school with my students. I had 3 training sessions a day, 5 days a week.
So, how did your body feel, as far as doing that much training at 50 and, being in your 50s? Did you feel like, you even needed to rest, or did your body feel broken down?
It was pretty broken down. By Friday, I would take the subway home, and a few times I fell asleep on the subway. I missed my stop, and I went miles out of the way. Saturday mornings, I didn't wake up till 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, my gosh.
I couldn't get out of bed. Sunday, I just moped around the house. My wife said, you can't continue this. You're going to kill yourself. I said, well, that's what I chose right now. So to answer your question, I destroyed myself.
What was the turning point for you? Like, how did you figure out, as you're progressing in your jiu-jitsu, how did you figure out kind of what worked best or what made you change kind of how you trained?
I stopped doing 3 training sessions a day and focused on 1 quality training session a day and worked on pure technique. I abandoned my strength. I abandoned my athletic ability that I gained from working with young people. And I just really focused on pure, old school, Helio Gracie jiu-jitsu, learning the tenets of jiu-jitsu.
So when did you kind of start doing that? What jiu-jitsu belt were you?
That was halfway through my blue belt.
Okay.
4 years in, I said, you know what? My body can't take this. Alan, you're a fool. You're destroying yourself. Stop. And I stopped training with the kids and just trained at my academy in the morning.
How did do you feel like your jiu-jitsu got any better? Did your cardio improve? I mean, did you notice any effects from doing that?
My jiu-jitsu got better. Really better. I said, my God, I don't have to use explosiveness. I could just use technique and wait for my opponent to off-balance himself and then capitalize on that. I said, wow, I like this. I could beat up 25-year-olds.
Yeah.
Let them run around me, and I'm on the ground spinning around waiting. I grab their leg, I grab their opposite collar, and just lift them up in the air. But I didn't lift them. They just off-balance themselves. I go, this is great. I figured it out. I figured out jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, okay. So you started training, more conserve your energy kind of during the role. Is that when everything kind of clicked for you? Do you think that's when your jiu-jitsu really started to get better, kind of once you started training just less frequently?
Less frequently, consistently 5 days a week, but 1 training session a day and a quality session. I would come into class, I'd do the roll, do the lesson plan, and I'd have 5 to 6 6-minute rounds, but do a quality rounds. I only train with people who train the way I did. Let's work on technique. Let's not kill each other. Let's trust each other. And we didn't go full speed. It must have been 60, 70%. I didn't go 100% anymore.
When did you realize maybe, was there a goal in sight? Did you have like, you want to compete at a certain level, achieve a certain level in jiu-jitsu? What was there kind of, that was your plan, but what was your plan leading you to? What exactly did you want to achieve?
My goal was to make purple belt. And at that point, I watched the purple belts train. They had finesse. They had smoothness and style. I said, I want to be like a purple belt. I can retire and be a purple belt forever. I have no desire to become brown or black belt in jiu-jitsu. I like purple belt. There's less responsibility for me, and no one's going to, try to take me out. I'm not the best guy in the academy, but I'm going to be this unbelievable purple belt. Like, wow, look at that guy move. He's old, but man, can he move? I wanted to be that guy.
So, obviously we don't choose which belt we're at. Like, when did you realize you were going to keep moving past purple belt? And when did you start to think? Did you ever think about getting a black belt?
No, I could never. I could never imagine myself as a black belt. I'm too old. I'm not good enough. I'll never be good enough. It's not something I could ever imagine. Let alone a brown belt. I could never imagine that.
When did you feel, or when did your coach feel you were ready for a brown belt? Was there anything you're just consistently training?
Consistently training, and I was doing very well against the purple belt, the blue belts. I would basically control all the blue belts. I would submit all the blue belts, even the younger guys. And the purple belts, I would have very good quality rolls. And the coach tested me without realizing it. He said, "Hey, Alan, why don't you go with that guy? But come over here, train over here on this mat." Which means he's watching me. He's sitting down, and he picked a really athletic purple belt. I'll never forget this. This guy was African American, played football before. He was a tight end. He was 6'3", 190 pounds, ripped. I mean, ripped. Purple belt, I'm purple belt. And he goes, go with Jared. I go, oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, fine. I went with Jared. Jared put it on me, man. Try to armbar me, I defended. Triangle, I defended. Flower sweep, I defended. I ended up on top of him, side control, with my shoulder in his jaw, crushing him, with my other hand far side underhook, with my elbow controlling his hip. And he was bucking like a horse in a rodeo. I held him down, he couldn't move. I couldn't submit him. I was scared to make a move. I just crushed him. The bell rang, we shook hands, and the coach goes, "Hey, old man, you got it. You still got it." And that was it. That was my test.
That was your test. So soon after you got your brown belt, and then
yes.
How did you feel? I mean, as far as brown belt, do you feel like you kind of overachieved already, or did you want more?
No. I would again. Now, what's going through my head again is I'm gonna be a brown belt forever. My brown belt's gonna be faded. It's gonna almost break. And people are going to say, why is that guy a brown belt? That's where I wanted to be. I could be the best brown belt in any academy in the world. But I'm going to be brown. I'm never going higher. Never.
Why was that? Why was that your mentality? I mean, did you not want to move forward? Or
I'm too old. I can't be a black belt. I'm too old. I can't compete with you. Look at you. You're all jacked up, man. You're a brown belt. You're young. You probably can do cartwheels over me. I can't be a black belt and train with you. I'd be embarrassed. No self-confidence.
Really? Being, in your 50s and more life experience and kind of probably overcome quite a few more things than some of these younger guys, you just didn't feel like there was a barrier or something, just you weren't fit for it.
Yeah, it's a barrier. I'm not cut out for this. Thank God I made brown belt. I'm happy.
So you just kind of kept training? I mean, that's basically it. So kind of what kept going on?
Kept training, but my training got serious. Got really serious. I gave up every ounce of speed, every ounce of strength, every ounce of athleticism, and focused on pure technique. I'm talking about pure technique. I wouldn't even break a sweat. I wouldn't get my heart rate up higher than 65% of max, and I'd still be able to control people. And I was happy doing that. And come to think about it, that's a great level of achievement.
Sure, absolutely. It's being very, very skillful.
Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. Skillful. Guys are complimenting me. Again, I get submitted by a purple belt. Absolutely. No big deal. But man, was my jiu-jitsu clean. That's a good word. It was clean. My sweeps were clean. I'd slow motion get on top. Slow motion tighten up. Go for the head and arm. I wasn't working hard.
That's a great game. People say in air quotes, maybe old man game, or just kind of like it just kind of smash and pass type game, kind of slow moving, controlling every inch. So you would just do that, and you feel like that even helped you kind of stay out of injuries, or help your body stay healthier as you maybe didn't get as many kind of crazy exchanges?
Yes, I got healthier. I got stronger. I got healthier. I got in better condition from doing that. Yeah.
So did you actually roll kind of full speed, or just mainly you worked on just technique and drilling?
They went full speed. So you do whatever you want, but my job as a brown belt is to get you to play my game. So as soon as and I would always start in the bottom, open guard with my legs out, my hands out, and they'd start these crazy side passes, I would roll to my side, grab their pant leg, grab their collar, and say, okay, now where are you going to go? I've got you locked down. And they didn't know what to do. Fine. As soon as you did that, boom, sweep. I do the sit-up guard sweep, right? The a double ankle sweep, and take them down and get on top. And they'd scratch their head. How does Alan do that? He didn't even move. I just stood up and he took me down. I liked it. I liked that game.
Yeah, and so it was effective, and you kind of developed, and that's kind of I think my coach always says, at purple belt you're kind of starting to figure out your game, and then in brown you kind of start to really develop and have a developed game or perfect it, I guess. I might be messing up, but yeah, definitely that's where brown belt, you've got a distinct style that you're going to play,
Yes.
So tell me about training. Did you compete at all in that time? Did you compete at brown belt or purple belt? And then when did you start to realize maybe you're getting closer to, achieving a black belt?
I competed at purple belt. I went to the Pan Ams.
Oh, awesome.
And you didn't have to be registered. You could, you go there. So I competed in the 45-year-olds. I was 60 or something.
Oh,
and my first match, it was no gi, a little faster. My first match, the guy disrespected me. He snapped my head down to do, a guillotine choke. And I said, not today, Sonny. You're not going to get me that way. And I went down and did an ankle pick, and I took him down. And I scored 2 points, and his corner flipped out. Don't let that old guy do that to you. He just took you down. And I competed, and we went on. He won by points. He couldn't submit me. And he shook my hand and said, wow, man, that was a great match. Thank you. Mm-hmm. So I realized at that point, you know what, man, maybe I am okay as a purple belt. Man, I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
I went to compete as a brown belt, but I didn't register with IBJJF, and I wasn't allowed to compete.
Yeah.
So I blew that opportunity.
Did you compete anymore, at brown at all? Or
No. My last competition was purple. I didn't compete at brown. And then the next thing happened was I got black belt.
Tell me about that. Was it completely unexpected? How exactly did that come about? And talk to me about kind of what that meant to you.
It came about that there was another gentleman in our school. His name is, I can't say his name because he's undercover, but we call him the Italian Stallion.
Gotcha.
He's 1 year younger than me. So we kind of went from blue to purple together, purple to brown together. And I don't go to promotions, other than if they tell me to go. So one of our friends was going to get promoted from blue to purple. Mm-hmm. So the Italian saying goes, hey, Alan, let's go support Roger. He's going to get promoted. I said, okay, fine. So we're both brown belts. We're sitting in the line there. We had no idea. The coach gave out one black belt to one of the coaches, and everybody clapped and I said, yeah, it's okay. We're all getting ready to get up and walk out. And he goes, and there's one more thing. And I'm sitting in the crowd, not thinking. He goes, 10 years ago, an older gentleman emailed me. He wanted to train. I go, oh, no. What the fuck are you? No. Don't call my name. This older gentleman, and he's here today. His name is Alan Spindel. I go, what are you doing? And I get up here. He stood up. I said, Coach, no, please, don't give me a black belt. He goes, shut up. Take your brown belt off. It was totally by surprise.
You said you told him not to give you a black belt at the time.
I said, no, don't do this. Please don't do this. He goes, shut up. I know what I'm doing. Have faith in me. I said, okay, whatever you say, Coach.
Yeah. So what was, after that happened, what was going through your head? I mean, and how old were you when you got your black belt?
62. And then as I'm in the front of the line with my black belt on it goes, there's one more. The Italian Stallion, come on up. Because we trained together.
Right.
He got black belt.
Oh, wow.
So 2 old guys But what went through my mind, and this is where my insecurity is, and no one in the academy agrees, we got black belt. We got black belt because we're old.
Uh-huh.
They felt sorry for us.
That's what you think?
That's what I think. That, again, I'm being very honest. That's my insecurity. But then the coach said, I don't give black belts out. People don't get a black belt in jiu-jitsu because you're rich, because you bought it, because you're old and we feel sorry for you, or you have one arm. We don't do that.
Right.
You earned it. You earned it. I said, okay, I earned it. Thank you.
I think that's a feeling at, sometimes any belt. I think, you always don't feel like, I think when I got my brown belt, I almost, I've been a purple for a while and I was just like, I'm not ready or I don't deserve it or whatever, but it's not, and my coach, Chewy, he's always like, it's kind of like, doesn't matter, what you feel or what you feel like you deserve. It's kind of what I see. And that's the thing, I think the important thing to think about is that you are a lineage under that, you're a black belt or a brown belt under so-and-so, which, ultimately what that means is, that you're representing them. And if they feel that you're, adequate, I think that's, yeah, I mean, and there's levels to black belt, we both know that there's the higher level black belts. There's a lower tier black belts. There's that at any level. And thinking jiu-jitsu, and certain black belts are tougher than others. It depends on maybe where you train or, so I think also from a point that I didn't think about before is there, you look at age groups. There's a reason why there's an age group, or age categories, because, there's a reason why they don't put the under 30s with the over 60s,
Yes.
There's both black belts at those levels, but those aren't the same, probably, your body's going to be different at those ages. So for sure. Alan, I wanted to kind of touch on maybe injuries, and tell me about maybe a little bit about, diet or rehab or what you do to maintain your body, how often you're training. So let's kind of get into that as far as any injuries, on your knees or anything like that you've had since training jiu-jitsu.
Well, again, the two medial meniscus repairs I had from jiu-jitsu, taekwondo and hapkido, but I stretched out my ACLs. I stretched them out because I felt them get warm one day when someone put my heel to my butt. Open guard, they push, they hyper flex.
So put your heel to your butt, right? How did you tell me how you stretched your ACL exactly? Was it like just the tissue around your knee, or?
It was the tissue around the knee. It's not torn. It's just stretched and aggravated. So I do a lot of stretching, I do gymnastica. We do gymnastica every day that I'm training after class. I take warm Epsom salt baths, and every morning I stretch before I even wake up. I stretch.
So the gymnastica, is that I know there's I think Hickson Gracie, it's something he did.
Yes.
Is there where you take a course on it, or is there certain techniques you've learned throughout the years?
I studied from videos on YouTube videos from Alvaro Romano. He's the creator of gymnastica, and there must be 30 different moves. So my older friend, Italian Stallion, and I, and this guy Roger, who's 50 now, we're up to the 5th move. We've combined 5 moves together. And it takes 6 minutes to do, and we're totally sweating and breathing hard after doing the gymnastica.
Okay, how do you feel like that? Does that just help mainly with flexibility, range of motion, joint movement? What do you feel like? How do you feel like it helps you? And how often do you do it?
All 3 things: the flexibility, the range of motion, and it's also therapeutic. I don't know why, you'd know better, but moving those muscles in a certain way, maybe the antagonists, I forgot these words, the opposing muscles are stretching. and we do it every day we go to class. We train no less than 4 days a week, no more than 5. At the end of class, everyone's leaving. We stay. We do a 1 6-minute round. So to me, it's therapeutic. Stretching, recuperating, gets rid of the lactic acid.
Sure. What about diet-wise? Have you kind of looked in a different diet or adjusted your diet and stuff for injury prevention? Any supplements that you like?
I take quite a few supplements. I take glucosamine. I take DHEA, over-the-counter hormone. I take ubiquinol, CoQ10.
Yeah.
I take a lot of. Actually, I have it. I have in my notes. I keep in my Google Docs a list of the nutrition. I can read them off real fast.
Sure.
I do vitamin list. I do DHEA 25 milligrams. It's a hormone supplement. Ubiquinol CoQ10 100 milligrams for cardiovascular, cellular health, and energy production. L-glutamine 500 milligrams for muscle immune system. L-arginine 500 milligrams for cardiovascular exercise performance, nitrous oxide. Glucosamine, chondroitin with MSN for joint mobility, flexibility. Chromium picolinate, 200 milligrams for glucose and fat metabolism. DMAE, 130 milligrams for brain, attention, energy. And L-tryptophan, 500 milligrams for mood and relaxation. Primal defense, which is a probiotic. I also had a mini heart attack about a month ago.
Oh my goodness!
Genetics. Yeah. But I caught myself, thank God, and I had four stents put in. And a week later, I'm back on the mats training.
Do you still feel like training as frequently as you do has been okay on your body? Are you thinking about changing anything up as far as your training goes?
I'm still training 4 to 5 days a week. My roles are with very selective people. I have a very short list of partners, and everybody knows that. I do a 30-minute warm-up in the class. You come in, we do a lesson plan, and that's drilling. Then the first actual roll, you're drilling. You're going to start from that position. So if we're doing spider guard, that position, it's pass or sweep. As soon as I get swept, we switch. I'm on top. If I sweep him, he's on the bottom. That's an easy roll. The second to sixth roll, I have 5 or 6 partners, and we understand each other. I'm now training at 50 to 60% of my max.
Kind of flow rolling, really. Essentially, you're kind of flow rolling.
Flow rolling, but I say to my partner, hey, you do whatever you want. You're not going to pass my guard. Yeah. You're not going to submit me or sweep me. You do what you want. You go crazy. So last Wednesday was no gi. Young guy, starting to juice up a little bit, lift weights. He starts to try to pass my guard. I get him in the knee shield. He's like sweating, huffing and puffing. I'm laying there with my forearm across his neck, my close arm, my other hand's behind me. I'm hanging out like, how much time left? This is fun.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything, but he didn't get anywhere. And finally I swept him. I got on top. I went for the head and arm triangle. He held his arm. I just waited there, and the bell rang. I said, great match. So I didn't do anything, but yet he thought I was great because he beached it out.
Right, couldn't do anything to you. Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of you're using more technique, which I think now, before, a big, huge, strong guy and somebody that doesn't know any jiu-jitsu against somebody that's older, that's got a jiu-jitsu background, it's going to be an easy roll. Now everybody's got that level, and now the athleticism actually plays so much of a role because a lot of athletic people have a solid jiu-jitsu knowledge now. So that's where you have to, I think, even perfect your techniques even more. I mean, they have to be perfect, almost perfect, because that's where athleticism can kind of overcome some of those deficits in technique.
Yes.
So, Alan, what are your goals? Just kind of wrapping up. What are your goals for jiu-jitsu? I mean, is your goal? Do you still? First of all, do you still teach? Are you still? Is there anything you're trying to do with jiu-jitsu? Do you teach jiu-jitsu now? Kind of, what's your goal and what's your plan?
My goal is to continue to do jiu-jitsu until I'm 95 years old, at whatever level that is. And I'm teaching more now. I am teaching a blind man, a 53-year-old blind man who started as a white belt, who now got promoted to blue belt.
Wow.
And by me teaching him, I'm learning so much because I've got to explain. I say, Angel, take your left hand and grab my same side right hand. When you grab it, make sure your four fingers, excluding the thumb, have a deep grip and rotate your palm upwards. Now, you know what I'm saying. Someone else, my wife goes, what the hell did you just say? Well, I visualize that. So when I grab someone's wrist now, woo, they can't reverse the grip on me. I've got their grip tight. So I'm learning by teaching, I'm getting better. So my goal is to teach to get my game better.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, your level of, I think, understanding of the positioning or the positions, and then also your ability to teach or explain somebody that doesn't have, sight. I mean, you have to be so much more with verbal and tactile cueing, just placing your hand and that's hard, man. It's hard to teach somebody, I've helped out around the gym, and so it's hard to teach a white belt that is athletically gifted and has all their senses intact,
And I've noticed my game has jumped. My game, even at my age, I have 2 torn rotator cuffs, 2 labrum tears, and a mini bicep tear.
Okay.
So if you get a Kimura on me and you put the lock in, as soon as my hand reaches my hip, tap. So but it's going to be difficult for you to get that because I'm T-Rex. My elbows are in. And I've learned. So my game has jumped so much, and people are now coming over to me. Hey, Alan, could you show me what you showed Angel? I love that. The way you teach.
Yeah.
And the coaches go, hey, maybe this guy Alan's okay, Maybe I did the right thing by giving him a black belt. Maybe he's going to get really good by teaching. So I'm getting known as the unofficial coach.
And that's kind of, I think that works out well for you. That was your background.
Yes.
It's kind of what you seem like you had some talent. A lot of talent in kind of coaching or teaching, which is
yes.
Not everybody, in my opinion, that is a teacher should be a teacher. They don't. That's kind of a skill not everybody has.
Yes, I have no ego. I train with a blue belt Wednesday, no gi, and he doesn't know. He's not very good at no gi, and I could tell he got stuck. I said, "What are you doing? Just jump over. Just use athleticism. Put your head down on my far side and jump over. Do the hop over." Oh, you're right. So in the middle of the roll, I'm telling him how to beat me. Yeah. After he goes, thank you so much, Alan. No one's ever taken the time to do that. I said, hey, I'll train with you anytime. So, yeah, even during my rolls, I'm letting the guys, get positions on me. Look, my arm is up. Go for the arm bar. They'll arm bar me, I'll tap. They go, wow, thank you so much, man. So it's like, wow, this is great.
Yeah, it's just more getting a different. I think getting something back from obviously jiu-jitsu. I think gives back a ton.
Yes.
But it's something different for sure. Do you feel like training gi versus no gi? Do you like to do both? Is there one that you prefer? And do you feel like combination of both of them kind of maybe helps with injury prevention?
I think a combination of both does help with injury prevention because in no gi, you're moving faster. There's less holding on. So your fingers won't get deformed as much.
Yeah.
And with gi, you can slow the game down. So I think the gi helps no gi. I believe that. But I like them both. I love them both.
So I was going to ask you, as far as jiu-jitsu, since you've been training, the evolution of these different positions, leg locks, which have been around forever, but now are just coming into being more popular because people see a lot more effectiveness with them. Have you tried to adopt any of these new positions, or have you trained more leg locks since, kind of with the progression of jiu-jitsu?
Yes, I am a white belt in leg locks, but I'm a fast learner, and I have my training partner, the Italian Stallion, has a very good straight ankle lock, foot lock, and we've been learning that together. And I'm understanding that game. I like the setups now. I'm all about setting it up.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's intricate. I mean, a lot of the leg entanglements are just, they're complex. And getting into them is so difficult, so challenging.
I love it. So that's what my goal is, to learn to take my knees and sandwich his knee, get on my side, put my forearm, my same side forearm in the back of his Achilles, rotate my knuckle forward so my wrist bone's on the back of his ankle, and then go on my side and hide my bottom elbow behind me, and that's where the submission is.
Sure.
Hide the elbow. And if you have to, go belly down and then lift your head up.
Right.
Guaranteed submission. I like it because I don't have to. It's a lazy man submission. I don't have to move.
Yeah. Is there anyone that you've kind of looked at, anyone you've trained with, any coaches or anyone you kind of have modeled your game after, or anyone you kind of try to mimic as your jiu-jitsu game?
Yes, 2 people. John Danner, the Death Squad coach,
Sure.
He is phenomenal with leg locks, and one of his students trains at our school twice a week. So I'm learning unofficially from his student the footlocks. I love that model. I love John's philosophy. And the second person is Bernardo Freire.
Yeah.
Yes. I love his top game, over under, and I am crushing everybody with that over under.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I've had Bernardo on the podcast before.
Oh.
And also he did a seminar at my gym.
Oh.
And I've actually used I do some top head and arm, or I'm not head and arm, but that top game over under pressure. But I do a lot of his half guard. I really like his half guard, and he's got this a really great half guard game, kind of nice setup, and super nice guy, by the way. I mean, probably one of the nicest guys. He went out to dinner with us afterwards. He was just funny. Really nice guy, and he rolls with everybody after. Like, he'll roll with whoever, just straight through after the seminar. And I mean, he omoplated everybody. I think one move. That's all he did. He's really good, and he teaches his game as an old man game almost, as like the old man, kind of heavy pressure. He's fantastic, and it's like you feel an over under position, but then you feel him do it, and you're like, that's what it's supposed to feel like. I mean, he's a pretty big guy, but man, this pressure, you just know when he puts it on, you can feel it. It's different. That's where those levels of jiu-jitsu come in, I mean, he was, 5-time world champion. He's, his game is really, he's got that simple kind of game. He just does it really well.
Yes.
Simple but effective, so for sure. Have you trained out? I was just going to ask you, have you trained at Henzo's gym at all? Have you trained with Henzo Gracie since you're in that New York area?
I did one training class there with him, but I've never taken anything other than, I've not taken any lessons or participated in his class. No, just one session.
And who is your gym kind of affiliated with, or who is your black belt under?
His name is Josh Griffiths. He's an IBJJF second-degree black belt. His lineage came from Fabio Clemente and Marcelo Garcia.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, he's Marcelo is probably for me is probably the guy that I love his game.
Oh, yes.
He's a freak, and he's one of those guys that always wonder and think about conditioning for jiu-jitsu, exercise or flexibility, or just everything. And he's the guy that is 33 or 34. All he does is jiu-jitsu like twice a day. Nothing else. No weightlifting, no stretching. Oh, from what I understand, but he pretty much just strictly jiu-jitsu. And he's one of those guys that doesn't need all that other, the other stuff, I guess. I don't know. Unique.
He doesn't need it. Matter of fact, he came to my conditioning session when I was high school phys ed teacher twice, and he goes, "I don't need this. I want to condition. I just go fast in my gym for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't need this." And I go, "You're right, Marcel. You don't need it."
He's incredible, man. That's one of the guys I think would be on my list to train with. I think he'd be just awesome to learn from. So
yes.
Well, Alan, man, I thank you. I appreciate the time. It was really interesting to kind of hear your journey, your story, and hopefully, if I'm in New York sometime, I'll look your gym up, maybe make an appearance. Stop by. It'd be awesome to maybe train with you one day. So
yes, you'll be my guest, please.
Thank you.
Be my guest.
Alan, well, I appreciate your time. Thank you for kind of sharing your story with me, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Gene. Thanks for reaching out to me.
Thanks a lot, brother. Have a good one.
You too.
Thank you to my guest, Alan Spindel, for joining me on the podcast. Make sure to check out his website, Spindel, Spindel, sportsacademy.com. Thank you guys for tuning in. More videos on jiu-jitsutherapist.com and on YouTube. And guys, make sure to follow me on Instagram at _jiu-jitsu_therapist, on Twitter at jiu-jitsu-pt, and on Facebook, facebook.com/jiu-jitsu-pt. All right, guys, thank you all for tuning in. See you next time.